The Knights Templar are one of history's most mysterious and legendary orders, surrounded by stories of hidden treasure, secret knowledge, and esoteric rituals. Their sudden rise to prominence during the Crusades, followed by their equally sudden and dramatic fall in the early 14th century, has sparked centuries of speculation. But perhaps the greatest mystery that has surrounded them for centuries is this: did the Templars, famed for their secretive ways and their wealth, manage to travel across the vast Atlantic Ocean, reaching the Americas long before Columbus? What if the story we have been told about the discovery of the New World is not the whole truth? What if the Knights Templar had already set foot on American soil, leaving behind clues that have been carefully hidden, ignored, or suppressed by history? Could the Templars have reached the Americas centuries before Columbus, with their treasure and knowledge scattered across the land? As we delve into this provocative question, we will explore a series of tantalizing mysteries that have arisen over the centuries. From ancient maps that seem to depict the Americas long before they were discovered, to mysterious artifacts found in locations across North and South America, there are undeniable traces that suggest the Templars might have traveled much further than Europe. We will also examine the esoteric traditions and hidden symbols that the Templars left behind, some of which may hold the key to uncovering their lost history in the New World. But why would the Templars travel so far? What drove them to venture across the Atlantic, and what could they have been searching for? Many believe that the Templars were not just knights fighting in the Crusades, but guardians of ancient knowledge, secret teachings passed down through generations. This knowledge, often tied to religious and mystical traditions, might have been the very reason the Templars undertook such dangerous journeys. The idea of the Holy Grail, sacred relics, and hidden truths played a central role in their identity and their ambitions. The most compelling aspect of this mystery lies in the evidence that suggests the Templars might have reached the Americas before any known European exploration. Could it be that Columbus's famous voyage in 1492 was not the first time a European saw the New World? Could there have been a secret Templar presence long before, leaving behind a trail of clues for those willing to look beyond the accepted narrative? One of the most persistent theories holds that, after the fall of their order in the early 1300s, the Templars fled Europe, possibly escaping persecution by the Catholic Church. Historical records suggest that some of them may have sailed westward, hiding in plain sight in the New World. There is even speculation that Columbus, himself a member of secret societies, may have been aware of these earlier journeys and sought to confirm the knowledge that had been passed down through generations of the Templar survivors. As we piece together the fragments of this mystery, it becomes clear that the Templars may have left behind more than just their infamous treasure. Their journey to the Americas, if it happened, would have been one filled with symbols, rituals, and hidden meanings, pointing to a much deeper connection between the Templars and the Americas than we have ever been taught. There are undeniable links between the Templars and several ancient sites and artifacts found across North and South America, such as mysterious stone carvings, strange structures, and hidden chambers. From the ruins of the Newport Tower in Rhode Island to the mysterious Kensington runestone in Minnesota, there are numerous pieces of evidence that suggest a Templar presence in the Americas. Many of these artifacts carry symbols and designs that are unmistakably linked to Templar iconography, leaving historians and researchers to wonder if they were left behind as markers or part of a larger, hidden mission. But the question remains, why would the Templars leave these clues behind? Was it a deliberate effort to ensure that their legacy would survive, or are they simply marking their path, knowing that future generations would eventually uncover their secrets? In this documentary, we will explore these questions and more. We will take you on a journey through time, from the rise and fall of the Knights Templar to the hidden mysteries of the New World. We will delve into the unexplained artifacts and maps that suggest the Templars knew the Americas were out there long before Columbus sailed the ocean blue. We will also examine the esoteric symbols, rituals, and knowledge that were central to the Templars, and how they might have influenced the cultures of the Americas. As we investigate the possibility that the Templars reached America long before Columbus, We will confront the mainstream historical narrative and challenge the idea that the discovery of the Americas was solely the work of European explorers. Instead, we will present an alternative theory, that the Templars, with their deep knowledge of the ancient world and their secretive ways, were among the first Europeans to set foot on American soil, and their story has been deliberately erased from history. But the mystery does not end with the Templars' journey. The question remains, what happened to them after they arrived? Did they establish colonies, hide treasures, or leave behind a legacy of sacred knowledge? And if they did, how have these secrets been kept hidden for so long? As we uncover the evidence, explore the hidden histories, and piece together the forgotten stories of the Templars, we will invite you to reconsider everything you know about the history of the Americas. This is not just a story of a secret society and lost treasure. It's a tale of hidden knowledge, suppressed history, and the untold legacy of one of the most fascinating and enigmatic orders in history. So, join us as we embark on this journey into the unknown, where the mysteries of the Templars in America await discovery. The truth, it seems, has always been right in front of us. The question is, are we ready to see it? The Knights Templar were an enigmatic and powerful order that emerged in the early 12th century, following the First Crusade. Originally founded in 1119 by a small group of French knights, the order was initially formed with a specific, almost practical purpose in mind: to protect Christian pilgrims traveling to the Holy Land. This humble beginning would, however, soon lead to their rise as one of the wealthiest and most influential organizations in medieval Europe, their legacy extending far beyond what anyone could have imagined. The Templars quickly gained prominence in the turbulent period following the Crusades, during which they became one of the most trusted military orders in Europe. With their distinctive white mantles adorned with a red cross, they represented both religious piety and martial discipline. Unlike many knights of the time, the Templars took strict vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience, which contributed to their image as devout warriors. Their primary mission was to protect the Christian kingdom of Jerusalem and its surrounding territories, but their influence grew far beyond the Holy Land. The Templars were not only warriors, they were also financiers and administrators. Their remarkable organizational structure and strategic vision allowed them to establish an extensive network of castles, estates, and holdings across Europe and the Holy Land. As their wealth grew, so did their influence, and the Templars became key players in the political and economic landscape of the medieval world. By the early 1300s, they had amassed substantial wealth, including vast estates, valuable land holdings, and a network of banking operations that spanned Europe. It is said that they were the first multinational corporation with the ability to move vast sums of money and goods between different regions with remarkable efficiency. Their banking operations were one of the keys to their power. Knights Templar were known to offer a form of medieval banking service to pilgrims and nobility alike. They would provide letters of credit to pilgrims journeying to the Holy Land, allowing them to travel safely without the need to carry large sums of money. This practice not only made the Templars incredibly wealthy, but also positioned them as major players in the development of early European banking. Their financial acumen gave them unprecedented influence, earning them the trust of kings, popes, and princes across Europe. But their financial empire was not without controversy. As their wealth and power expanded, so too did suspicion and resentment from rival powers. The Templars' close relationship with the Catholic Church and their almost monopolistic control over pilgrimage routes made them powerful enemies, particularly when their success began to overshadow that of other Christian institutions. It was this growing rivalry that would eventually lead to their downfall. By the early 14th century, the Templars had become embroiled in a web of intrigue, political machinations, and power struggles. King Philip IV of France, deeply indebted to the Templars and seeking to control their vast wealth, initiated a campaign to destroy the order. On October 13, 1307, Philip ordered the arrest of all Templar knights in France, accusing them of heresy, idolatry, and other crimes. Many Templars were tortured into confessions, and their Grand Master, Jacques de Molay, was executed in 1314, marking the official end of the order. The charges against the Templars, however, have been widely debated and remain shrouded in mystery. The accusations of heresy and blasphemy seemed unfounded, and many historians believe that the real reason for their destruction was purely financial. King Philip sought to seize the Templars' immense wealth and eliminate a rival power that was growing too strong. But despite their official disbandment, the legacy of the Templars did not simply vanish. The events surrounding the fall of the Knights Templar remain one of the most enigmatic chapters in history. The secrecy and mystery surrounding the Order's final days have fueled countless conspiracy theories, with some suggesting that the Templars were victims of a grand political plot. Others believe that, rather than being destroyed, the Templars simply went underground, hiding their wealth and knowledge from the Church and the secular authorities. Many theories suggest that the Templars continued to operate in secret, forming hidden societies that would go on to influence future generations. One of the most enduring theories is that the Templars possessed secret knowledge, ancient wisdom, perhaps even mystical or esoteric teachings that they safeguarded and passed down through generations. This idea is often linked to the legend of the Holy Grail, a sacred relic that the Templars are believed to have guarded during their time in the Holy Land. According to some theories, the Templars may have discovered the Grail or other sacred relics during their time in Jerusalem, and this knowledge formed the foundation of their esoteric beliefs. The idea that the Templars were the keepers of hidden knowledge and that they held the key to ancient secrets is a central theme in many conspiracy theories, and it is this notion that fuels much of the fascination surrounding their order. But what if the Templars didn't just guard sacred knowledge in Europe? What if they took their secrets beyond the shores of the Old World, venturing into uncharted territories, perhaps even to the Americas? This is where the mystery deepens. Could the Templars have been aware of the New World long before Columbus? Could their voyages have taken them across the Atlantic to lands unknown to Europeans at the time? It is a question that has lingered in the shadows of history, and one that continues to intrigue historians, researchers, and conspiracy theorists alike. While much of the history of the Templars is shrouded in mystery, what we do know suggests that they were an organization that wielded significant power, both politically and economically. Their vast wealth, military prowess, and network of influence made them a force to be reckoned with in medieval Europe. But their downfall at the hands of a corrupt monarch did not mark the end of their legacy. If anything, it may have been the beginning of an even greater mystery, one that suggests the Templars may have had knowledge of lands across the sea, and that their story may have extended far beyond the reaches of Europe. The question of whether the Templars reached America long before Columbus is just one piece of the puzzle. To answer it, we must first understand who the Templars were, their origins, their purpose, their secrets, and how their remarkable rise and fall shaped the course of history. As we continue our investigation into their legacy, we will see how their mysterious history intertwines with the exploration of the New World, and how the Templars may have played a role in shaping the destiny of both Europe and the Americas. The Knights Templar were not simply warrior monks. They were believed to be keepers of sacred knowledge, guardians of ancient secrets passed down through generations. Their wealth, power, and influence were not merely the result of military conquest or banking savvy, but were also deeply tied to esoteric teachings and hidden truths that many historians argue were central to their very identity. Throughout their rise and fall, the Templars were often associated with mystery, secrecy, and a profound connection to the unknown. But what exactly was this hidden knowledge, and why did the Templars place such importance on it? The answer to these questions lies in the enigmatic symbols, rituals, and beliefs that permeated the Order's history. The Templars' fascination with ancient knowledge can be traced back to their time in the Holy Land during the Crusades. As the Crusaders conquered Jerusalem in 1099, they came into contact with a variety of ancient religious traditions, relics, and texts that were previously unknown to the Western world. The city, a sacred site for Jews, Christians, and Muslims, was home to a rich collection of esoteric wisdom that had been accumulated over centuries. The Templars, with their military and religious zeal, were among the first to gain access to these mysterious artifacts. One of the most persistent theories is that the Templars stumbled upon the lost treasures of the Jewish Temple of Solomon, a legendary site mentioned in the Bible. According to the Bible, the temple housed the Ark of the Covenant, a sacred relic believed to contain the Ten Commandments. Some believe that the Templars, while stationed in Jerusalem, discovered the Ark, or at least some remnants of it, along with other ancient artifacts that held powerful esoteric knowledge. If the Templars did discover such relics, it is plausible that they considered these objects to be of profound spiritual significance, embodying ancient wisdom and perhaps even divine secrets that could unlock the mysteries of the universe. The idea of the Templars as the guardians of ancient wisdom is further supported by their cryptic symbols and rituals. The Templars were known to incorporate a wide range of esoteric symbols into their architecture, regalia, and rituals. These symbols, many of which were derived from ancient mysticism, were not simply decorative. They were believed to hold powerful, hidden meanings that only the initiated could understand. For example, the Templar cross, a bold red cross on a white background, has been interpreted by some scholars as a symbol of spiritual enlightenment, a connection between the earthly and the divine. This cross, and other symbols such as the pentagram and the Ouroboros, may have represented hidden knowledge about the nature of existence, the cosmos, and the soul's journey toward enlightenment. One of the most significant symbols associated with the Templars is the concept of the Holy Grail, a sacred object that has been the subject of myths, legends, and esoteric traditions for centuries. The Grail is often depicted as a vessel that contains the blood of Christ, and many believe it to be a key to spiritual transformation and divine wisdom. Some theories suggest that the Templars not only guarded the Grail, but may have even discovered it during their time in the Holy Land. If this is true, then the Templars' secret knowledge could have included not just material wealth, but a profound understanding of religious and mystical truths that were hidden from the public eye. In addition to the Grail, the Templars were also believed to have been keepers of other sacred relics, such as the Lance of Longinus, the spear that pierced Christ's side, and the Shroud of Turin. These relics, like the Grail, were said to contain mystical powers and were believed to be keys to understanding the divine mysteries of life, death, and the afterlife. The Templars' association with such relics only deepened their connection to the idea of hidden knowledge and spiritual power, and it is likely that their initiation rituals included teachings related to these sacred objects. The secrecy surrounding the Templars' knowledge was not merely a result of their religious vows or military obligations. It was an integral part of their purpose. The Templars were part of a long-standing tradition of secret societies and mystery schools that guarded knowledge from the outside world. Throughout history, there have been numerous societies that claimed to possess ancient wisdom, societies that were often persecuted, suppressed, or forced into hiding by those in power. The Templars, with their vast network and close ties to powerful figures such as kings, popes, and nobles, were in a unique position to protect their knowledge from being discovered or destroyed. As the order grew in power and influence, the Templars may have realized the danger posed by their secrets. The more powerful they became, the more enemies they made. Rival factions within the church and European nobility, envious of the Templars' wealth and power, began to view them with suspicion. It is believed that, fearing for their safety and the preservation of their knowledge, the Templars may have hidden or encoded their most sacred teachings. This could explain the many cryptic symbols and enigmatic codes that are found throughout Templar history. One of the most intriguing aspects of Templar secrecy is the possibility that the order may have passed their knowledge down to future generations through various secret societies. The Freemasons, for example, are often linked to the Templars through shared symbols, rituals, and teachings. Some believe that the Freemasons were directly descended from the Templars, inheriting their secret knowledge and their desire to protect and preserve ancient wisdom. Others suggest that the Templars went even further underground, creating hidden networks of initiates who continued their work in secret. The idea of hidden knowledge and secret societies is central to the narrative of the Templars and their legacy. But what does this have to do with the Americas? Could the Templars have taken their sacred knowledge across the Atlantic, carrying it with them to the New World? This question has intrigued historians and researchers for centuries, and evidence suggests that the Templars may have indeed ventured far beyond Europe in search of new territories, ancient relics, and hidden wisdom. It is possible that the Templars, armed with their esoteric knowledge and their advanced navigational skills, crossed the Atlantic long before Columbus. This theory is supported by the presence of mysterious artifacts, symbols, and structures found in the Americas, many of which bear a striking resemblance to Templar iconography. If the Templars did make such a journey, it is likely that they brought with them not only their physical treasures, but also their ancient knowledge, which may have been passed down to the indigenous peoples of the Americas or hidden in remote locations for future generations to discover. As we explore the possibility that the Templars reached the Americas, we are faced with a tantalizing mystery. What did they discover, and what did they leave behind? The answer may lie in the ancient knowledge that the Templars carried with them, a knowledge that was so powerful, so transformative, that it may have been hidden from the world for centuries. Whether they sought treasure, spiritual enlightenment, or a deeper understanding of the universe, the Templar journey to the Americas may have been just one chapter in their larger mission to safeguard the secrets of the past and pass them on to future generations. In the end, the hidden knowledge of the Templars is more than just a historical curiosity. It is a key to understanding the mysteries of our own world. The Templars' secrets, if they were ever revealed, could change the way we think about history, religion, and the very nature of existence. The journey to uncover these secrets continues, and the Templars' legacy endures as one of history's greatest and most enduring mysteries. Christopher Columbus is often hailed as the man who discovered the Americas, a title that has shaped the course of history for centuries. In 1492, Columbus, sailing under the Spanish flag, made landfall in what is now the Bahamas, marking the beginning of European exploration and colonization of the New World. His voyage was seen as a groundbreaking achievement, forever changing the relationship between Europe and the Americas. But as history is re-examined and new evidence emerges, a provocative question arises. Was Columbus truly the first European to reach the Americas, or did he simply follow a path already laid out by others? To understand the true significance of Columbus's voyage, we must first place it within the broader context of the age of exploration. Columbus's journey came at a time when European nations were eager to expand their territories, find new trade routes, and access the vast wealth believed to be in the East. The age of exploration was characterized by a relentless desire to chart unknown lands, fueled by a mixture of ambition, curiosity, and the search for riches. Portugal, Spain, and other maritime powers had already begun to establish sea routes to Africa and Asia, but the Americas remained an enigma. Columbus, an Italian-born navigator with a deep belief in the idea of a westward route to Asia, proposed a bold plan to the Spanish monarchs, Ferdinand and Isabella. He argued that by sailing westward, he could reach the East Indies, bypassing the long and dangerous journey around Africa. Despite the skepticism of many experts, Columbus was granted the necessary resources to embark on his expedition. His ships, the Nina, Pinta, and Santa Maria, set sail from Spain in August 1492, and after several months at sea, they reached land on October 12, 1492, landing on an island in the Caribbean that Columbus believed to be part of Asia. While Columbus's discovery of the Americas was monumental in terms of its impact on world history, it is important to question the traditional narrative. Columbus was not the first European to set foot on the Americas. Norse sagas, such as the Vinland sagas, describe the voyages of Viking explorers like Leif Erikson, who reached what is now Newfoundland in Canada around the year 1000, nearly 500 years before Columbus's voyage. The evidence for Viking exploration in North America is supported by archaeological sites, including the remains of Norse settlements in Newfoundland, such as the Lance Aux Meadows site, which was discovered in the 1960s. These findings suggest that the Vikings were the first known Europeans to establish a presence in the Americas, long before Columbus set sail. So, if the Vikings were the first Europeans to reach the New World, why is Columbus credited with the discovery? The answer lies in the complex and often selective nature of historical narratives. Columbus's voyage, unlike the Norse expeditions, marked the beginning of sustained European contact with the Americas. The Vikings did not establish lasting colonies, and their voyages were largely forgotten by the time Columbus sailed. The Renaissance in Europe, with its renewed interest in classical knowledge and geography, created the perfect environment for Columbus's voyage to be seen as the true discovery of the Americas. Columbus's journey was part of a larger wave of exploration and colonization that would reshape the world for centuries to come. But Columbus's legacy is not without controversy. Despite his achievement, Columbus was also a figure whose actions and legacy have been the subject of growing scrutiny. While Columbus's voyages opened the Americas to European colonization, they also ushered in a period of exploitation, violence, and the decimation of indigenous populations. Columbus's arrival set the stage for the Spanish conquest of the Americas, leading to the colonization of vast territories, the destruction of indigenous cultures, and the forced conversion of native peoples to Christianity. His legacy, therefore, is seen by many as a symbol of European imperialism and colonialism, a legacy that is increasingly viewed with critical eyes. Columbus's journey was part of a broader pattern of European exploration that fundamentally altered the course of history. His voyages were followed by other explorers, such as Vasco da Gama, Ferdinand Magellan, and Hernán Cortés, who would continue to chart the world's unknown territories. These explorers opened up new trade routes, introduced new goods and ideas, and initiated the exchange of cultures and knowledge. But this also came at a cost, as the indigenous civilizations of the Americas were systematically destroyed, their cultures erased, and their resources plundered. However, as we consider Columbus's place in history, we must also entertain the possibility that his voyage was not as groundbreaking as it has been portrayed. Could there have been earlier, unrecorded, or suppressed voyages to the Americas that laid the groundwork for Columbus's discovery? The idea that Columbus followed in the footsteps of others, perhaps even the mysterious Knights Templar, opens up a realm of intriguing possibilities. What if the Templars or other explorers had already mapped the Americas before Columbus? What if Columbus's voyage was simply the final link in a long chain of exploration that began centuries earlier? There are several theories that suggest Columbus's journey may have been influenced by earlier explorers, including the Templars. One of the most compelling arguments is that Columbus may have had access to maps or knowledge passed down from earlier voyages. Some researchers believe that Columbus was not working entirely from his own navigational calculations, but may have had access to maps that contained information about the New World, which had been compiled by earlier explorers, such as the Vikings or even the Templars themselves. The idea that Columbus was in possession of such knowledge suggests that the history of European exploration in the Americas may be far older and more complex than we have been led to believe. One of the most famous pieces of evidence cited by these theories is the Piri-Reis map, a 16th century document that appears to show an accurate depiction of the South American coastline, Antarctica, and parts of North America, regions that were not known to Europeans at the time. The Piri-Reis map, which was created by an Ottoman admiral, is often cited as evidence that there was much more advanced geographical knowledge of the Americas prior to Columbus. Some proponents of the Templar theory suggest that this map could have been based on earlier sources, possibly linked to the Templars or other secretive groups who had explored the Americas before Columbus. If the Templars were indeed in the Americas before Columbus, it stands to reason that they might have left behind maps or other records of their journeys that influenced later explorers. In addition to the Piri-Reis map, other pieces of evidence suggest that Columbus was not the first to reach the Americas. Ancient artifacts, structures, and inscriptions found in the Americas often bear symbols that are reminiscent of European, particularly Templar, iconography. For example, The mysterious Kensington runestone, found in Minnesota in 1898, is believed by some to be a Templar marker, indicating that the Templars may have been in North America long before Columbus. Other theories point to the Newport Tower in Rhode Island, a structure that some believe was built by the Templars as a navigational beacon or as part of a larger Templar settlement in the New World. The idea that Columbus may have been following in the footsteps of earlier explorers, including the Templars, raises profound questions about the history we have been taught. It suggests that the story of the discovery of the Americas is far more complicated than the simple narrative of Columbus as the first European to reach the New World. If Columbus had access to ancient maps or knowledge of earlier voyages, it would mean that the discovery of the Americas was not a single event, but the culmination of a series of hidden and forgotten explorations that span centuries. As we explore these possibilities, we are forced to reconsider the established history of the age of exploration. Columbus's voyage in 1492 may have been a monumental event, but it may not have been the first. The Americas may have been visited by earlier Europeans, perhaps the Vikings, the Templars, or others, and the evidence of these earlier explorations has been hidden or suppressed. This alternate narrative challenges the traditional view of Columbus as the sole discoverer of the Americas, suggesting that the true history of the New World's exploration is far richer, more complex, and more mysterious than we have been led to believe. The notion that the Knights Templar, a medieval order known for their military prowess and esoteric traditions, might have left traces of their presence in the Americas long before Columbus set sail in 1492 has captivated historians, researchers, and conspiracy theorists for centuries. While mainstream history holds that Columbus's voyage was the first European expedition to the New World, there is growing evidence suggesting that the Templars may have ventured across the Atlantic, leaving behind cryptic markers, artifacts, and structures that continue to puzzle modern archaeologists. These discoveries, scattered across North and South America, challenge the established narrative and hint at a much deeper, hidden history of exploration that predates the age of Columbus. One of the most compelling pieces of evidence often cited by proponents of the theory that the Templars reached the Americas is the famous Kensington runestone, found in 1898 in Minnesota. The runestone is a large granite slab that bears a series of strange runic inscriptions, which many believe are linked to Norse explorers. While some scholars argue that the stone is a hoax, others point to the possibility that the inscription, which dates back to the 14th century, may have been made by the Templars themselves. The runestone contains symbols and messages that appear to be a mix of Old Norse and medieval Christian iconography, suggesting that the stone could be a marker left by a group of European explorers, possibly the Templars, who arrived in North America long before Columbus. The inscription, which describes an expedition and a potential conflict with indigenous peoples, seems to reflect the type of journey that would have been undertaken by the Templars, known for their military and exploratory pursuits. The Kensington runestone is not the only artifact that has raised questions about the Templars' presence in the New World. In Rhode Island, another mysterious site known as the Newport Tower has long been associated with the Templars. The Newport Tower, an octagonal stone structure located in Newport, Rhode Island, has baffled historians for centuries due to its unusual architectural style and apparent lack of a clear purpose. Some researchers argue that the design of the tower bears a striking resemblance to the Templars' own buildings in Europe, particularly the round chapels they constructed during the Crusades. Its location, atop a hill with sweeping views of the Atlantic Ocean, also raises the possibility that the tower served as a navigational aid or as a part of a larger Templar settlement. Some proponents of the theory suggest that the Templars used the tower as a way station or even as a secret outpost during their travels across the Atlantic. Beyond these more famous examples, numerous other artifacts and structures scattered across the Americas have been linked to the Templars. In New Mexico, researchers have uncovered strange symbols carved into rock formations that bear a resemblance to Templar iconography, including the distinctive Templar cross. These symbols, which appear to be centuries older than European contact with the Americas, have led some to speculate that they were left behind by the Templars as markers or symbols of their journey. Similar carvings have been found in other parts of the United States, including the western states of Arizona and California, where there are reports of Templar-like crosses and other symbols that seem to echo the imagery of the medieval order. The Templars' association with hidden treasure is another aspect of their legend that has fueled speculation about their presence in the Americas. According to many theories, after the order was disbanded in the early 14th century, some Templars escaped Europe and sought refuge in the New World, bringing with them not only their sacred knowledge, but also vast riches that had been accumulated during their time in the Holy Land. These treasures, said to include gold, religious relics, and ancient artifacts, may have been hidden in various locations across the Americas. The Oak Island Mystery, located off the coast of Nova Scotia in Canada, is one of the most famous examples of a treasure hunt linked to the Templars. The Oak Island Money Pit, a shaft that has been the subject of intense excavation and investigation for over 2 centuries, is believed by some to be the hiding place of Templar treasure. While no definitive evidence has been uncovered to date, the theories linking Oak Island to the Templars persist, fueled by the strange symbols found in the area, the unusual construction of the pit, and the stories of treasure hunters who claim to have encountered cryptic messages suggesting a hidden, Templar-related cache. What makes the Oak Island mystery particularly intriguing is the fact that it is not the only place in the Americas where treasure hunters have discovered signs of secretive, Templar-like activity. In South America, there are reports of ancient tombs and artifacts that some believe could be linked to the Templars. In Peru, for example, researchers have pointed to the ancient Inca city of Machu Picchu, where certain architectural elements resemble those found in Templar structures in Europe. Some theorists believe that the Templars, with their knowledge of architecture and sacred geometry, may have had a hand in building or influencing the construction of ancient sites like Machu Picchu, suggesting that their travels through the Americas extended far beyond the North American continent. While many of these claims are speculative, the sheer number of mysterious artifacts, structures, and symbols found across the Americas raises significant questions about the true extent of European exploration in the New World before Columbus. Could the Templars have been the first Europeans to discover the Americas, leaving behind subtle clues of their presence in the form of enigmatic carvings, hidden treasures, and strange structures? The idea that the Templars may have ventured into the Americas, not as conquerors, but as explorers and guardians of sacred knowledge, opens up an entirely new chapter in the history of European exploration. One of the key arguments in favor of the Templar theory is the remarkable navigational skills that the order would have possessed. The Templars were not only warriors and bankers, they were also deeply involved in the study of mathematics, astronomy, and navigation. Their knowledge of the stars and the natural world, combined with their advanced understanding of geometry and cartography, would have made them capable of undertaking long sea voyages across the Atlantic. Given their vast wealth and influence, it is entirely plausible that the Templars could have funded such an expedition and used their resources to establish secret bases in the Americas, far from the prying eyes of the Church and secular authorities in Europe. If the Templars did indeed reach the Americas, they would have had the means and the motivation to hide their activities. After all, their order had been outlawed and disbanded by the Catholic Church, and many of its members were under threat of persecution. The idea of fleeing to the New World to escape the wrath of the Church, while also safeguarding their treasure and esoteric knowledge, would have been a logical course of action for the Templars. The treasures they carried with them may have been hidden in remote locations, and the clues they left behind, cryptic symbols, strange inscriptions, and unexplained structures, could have been a way of marking their territory and ensuring that future generations would be able to find their secrets. The mystery of Templar artifacts in the Americas remains unsolved, but the evidence continues to point toward the possibility that the order did, in fact, make its way across the Atlantic long before Columbus. Whether they were seeking treasure, knowledge, or refuge, the Templars' presence in the New World challenges the conventional understanding of early exploration and suggests that the true story of the Americas' discovery is far more complex than we have been led to believe. As new evidence continues to surface and new theories emerge, the question remains, what were the Templars really doing in the Americas, and what secrets did they leave behind? The question of whether the Knights Templar reached the Americas long before Columbus is one that continues to intrigue researchers, especially when considering the curious role that maps and cartography may have played in their journeys. For centuries, certain ancient maps have perplexed historians with their accuracy and detail, especially in regard to the New World, regions that were supposedly unknown to Europeans prior to Columbus. Could these maps hold the key to uncovering a forgotten chapter in the history of the Americas? And more importantly, could the Templars have had access to these maps, perhaps even creating or preserving them during their travels across the Atlantic? One of the most famous and controversial maps associated with the pre-Columbian discovery of the Americas is the Piri-Reis map. Created in 1513 by the Ottoman admiral and cartographer Piri-Reis, this map is often cited as evidence that ancient civilizations, possibly including the Templars, possessed knowledge of the Americas long before Columbus. The Piri-Reis map is remarkable for several reasons. It depicts the coastline of South America with an extraordinary level of accuracy, includes what appears to be an accurate representation of Antarctica, although the continent was not officially discovered until the 19th century, and shows other parts of the Americas in a way that suggests a far more advanced geographical understanding than was typical for the time. What makes the Piri-Reis map particularly intriguing is its origins. Piri-Reis, a highly regarded cartographer, claimed that the map was drawn from several earlier sources, including ancient Mediterranean and even pre-Columbian maps. These sources, he stated, were passed down through the ages and preserved by the Ottomans. The map's inclusion of Antarctica, a landmass that was largely unknown in the early 16th century, has led many to speculate that the map might be based on even older, possibly lost cartographic knowledge that could have been passed down from ancient civilizations or secretive groups such as the Templars. The map has raised several key questions. How could Piri-Reis have known about Antarctica, a continent that was supposedly undiscovered by European explorers? And could the Templars, known for their seafaring and navigational skills, have been the custodians of this ancient knowledge? Another intriguing aspect of the Piri-Reis map is its depiction of the coastline of South America, which appears to be based on a level of detail that was not typical for maps of the time. The map's portrayal of the coastline, including the precise location of rivers, bays, and capes, suggests that whoever created it had detailed first-hand knowledge of the region. This level of cartographic sophistication leads some researchers to believe that the Templars or other early European explorers may have reached South America long before Columbus and left behind their own maps and records of the land. While the Piri-Reis map is the most famous example, it is not the only ancient map that has sparked speculation about early European knowledge of the Americas. Another such map is the world map created by the Venetian cartographer Framaro in the 1450s. This map, which was commissioned by the King of Portugal, depicts a highly detailed representation of the known world, including parts of Africa, Asia, and Europe. Interestingly, the map includes an unusually accurate depiction of the Atlantic Ocean, with several islands and coastlines that suggest knowledge of lands far to the west. Some scholars believe that Framaro's map, like the Piri-Reis map, could have been based on older, secret sources that included information about the Americas, sources that may have been passed down by the Templars or other secretive explorers. In addition to these medieval maps, there are also references to earlier maps that might have depicted the New World. In the 16th century, there were reports of ancient maps being preserved by various secret societies and religious orders, including the Templars. These maps, it is suggested, could have been part of a broader network of cartographic knowledge that was passed down through generations, perhaps even after the Templars were disbanded in 1312. The idea that the Templars may have preserved maps of the Americas or even contributed to their creation raises fascinating questions about the scope of their exploration and knowledge. Were the Templars in possession of ancient, pre-Columbian maps that depicted the Americas? If so, how did they come by such maps, and what role did these maps play in their secretive travels across the Atlantic? The Templars' involvement with maps and cartography also ties into their well-documented expertise in navigation and astronomy. As a military and religious order, the Templars were deeply committed to learning and intellectual pursuits. They were known to have developed sophisticated systems for navigating both land and sea, and their knowledge of geometry, architecture, and astronomy was second to none. Many historians believe that the Templars' expertise in these areas was a direct result of their extensive travels, particularly during the Crusades, when they would have had access to both Eastern and Western knowledge. This blend of Western medieval traditions with the ancient wisdom of the East, particularly the teachings of the ancient Greeks, Egyptians, and even the knowledge passed down from the ancient Babylonians, may have played a crucial role in shaping their understanding of the world and its geography. Could the Templars have used this knowledge to create their own maps of the New World? It is certainly plausible. The Templars were renowned for their ability to accumulate and protect ancient knowledge. They were often referred to as the guardians of sacred secrets, and their network of castles and fortresses across Europe and the Holy Land would have provided them with ample opportunities to preserve and transmit cartographic knowledge. If they did have access to maps of the Americas, it is likely that these maps would have been carefully guarded and hidden from the public eye, especially after the order was disbanded and many of its members were persecuted by the Church. Some proponents of the theory that the Templars reached the Americas suggest that the maps they possessed may have been used to navigate the Atlantic Ocean. The Templars' expertise in celestial navigation, coupled with their knowledge of the stars and the planets, would have made them well-equipped to undertake long voyages. It is believed that they could have used these maps to navigate their way to the Americas, where they may have established secret outposts, left behind markers, or even hidden treasure. The idea that the Templars were able to sail across the Atlantic, using ancient maps and celestial navigation techniques, is an exciting possibility that opens up new avenues of research into their activities and their possible role in the early exploration of the New World. In addition to their use of maps, the Templars' connection to the Americas might also explain the enigmatic symbols and inscriptions found in various locations across the continent. Many of these symbols, which resemble Templar iconography, have been discovered in places such as New England, Nova Scotia, and other parts of North America. These symbols, crosses, pentagrams, and other geometric shapes, could be markers or clues left by the Templars to indicate the presence of hidden knowledge or treasure. If these symbols were indeed left by the Templars, it is possible that they were referencing locations or landmarks that were significant to their cartographic understanding of the New World. As we delve deeper into the question of Templar maps and cartography, it becomes increasingly clear that the legacy of the Templars may be more complex and far-reaching than we have been led to believe. The maps that have survived, such as the Pyre Reis and Fromaro maps, suggest that ancient knowledge of the Americas may have existed long before Columbus's time. The possibility that the Templars, with their deep understanding of navigation and their access to hidden knowledge, were the ones responsible for preserving or creating these maps opens up an entirely new perspective on the history of the Americas. Could the Templars have been the true pioneers of the New World, mapping the Americas centuries before Columbus? The mystery surrounding these ancient maps continues to be one of the most intriguing and unresolved aspects of early American exploration. The legend of a lost city of gold, a mythical place filled with untold treasures, has captivated explorers, adventurers, and historians for centuries. From the fabled El Dorado in South America to the stories of hidden treasures in the North, tales of vast riches buried in mysterious locations have fueled countless quests. One of the most tantalizing and enduring possibilities within this realm of legend is the idea that the Knights Templar, with their extensive knowledge and vast resources, were not only involved in the search for such treasures, but may have also discovered or hidden their own treasures in the Americas. Could the Templars have been seeking a city of gold, perhaps in the form of an ancient civilization's lost wealth? And if so, did they leave clues behind for future generations to find? The question of the Templars and their connection to the lost city of gold adds another layer of intrigue to the mystery of their travels in the New World. The search for a lost city of gold has been a persistent theme throughout history. The most famous of these legends is that of El Dorado, a mythical city said to be located somewhere in the interior of South America, filled with unimaginable wealth in the form of gold, precious jewels, and other treasures. Early Spanish conquistadors, including Francisco Pizarro and Hernán Cortés, were obsessed with finding El Dorado, but despite extensive expeditions, they never succeeded in uncovering its location. However, the search for El Dorado continued for centuries, long after the Spanish conquests, with adventurers from around the world venturing into the jungles and mountains of South America, hoping to find the city that had eluded their predecessors. While the story of El Dorado is often associated with Spanish explorers and their insatiable lust for wealth, the idea of a city of gold was not entirely foreign to European minds. In fact, the legend of El Dorado and similar tales can be traced back to ancient civilizations and the mythologies of the Old World. The idea that hidden treasures could be found in distant, unexplored lands was deeply ingrained in European consciousness during the Middle Ages and the Renaissance, particularly in the wake of the Crusades. The Templars, as one of the most powerful and secretive orders of the medieval period, would have been well-positioned to pursue such a treasure, and their extensive network of influence, knowledge, and resources might have played a key role in their search for such a city. The Templars' connection to the lost city of gold theory is rooted in both their historical activities and the enduring mysteries surrounding their quest for sacred relics. The Templars were notorious for their vast wealth, accumulated through donations, land acquisitions, and their sophisticated banking system. However, it is not just their wealth that makes them intriguing in relation to the lost city of gold. It is also the hidden knowledge they were believed to have acquired during their time in the Holy Land. The Templars were thought to have access to ancient relics, manuscripts, and perhaps even the legendary treasures of King Solomon's Temple, which could have included maps or information pointing to the location of such a mythical city. In the wake of their disbandment in the early 14th century, the Templars were rumored to have hidden much of their wealth and sacred knowledge to protect it from the church and secular authorities. Some scholars believe that the Templars may have traveled to the New World after their downfall, seeking refuge from their enemies in Europe and continuing their pursuit of hidden treasures and sacred artifacts. Could the Templars have ventured to South America, where they believed the lost city of gold, or perhaps another treasure of profound significance, was hidden? The idea that the Templars, driven by their mystical and esoteric beliefs, may have sought a treasure beyond gold, perhaps a repository of ancient knowledge or even a physical relic with immense spiritual power, adds an intriguing layer to the lost city of gold legend. In addition to their pursuit of wealth, the Templars were also deeply involved in the search for the Holy Grail, the legendary cup said to have held the blood of Christ. Many believe that the Templars' quest for the Grail was not just a religious mission, but an attempt to uncover hidden knowledge that could transform humanity. Some theorists suggest that the Templars, having potentially discovered the Grail or other sacred artifacts during their time in the Holy Land, may have carried this knowledge to the New World. The connection between the Grail and a lost city of gold becomes particularly compelling when one considers the symbolism and themes of divine knowledge and enlightenment that are often associated with these legends. Could the Templars have believed that the lost city of gold was somehow linked to the Grail, or that the two were part of a greater spiritual treasure hidden away for safekeeping? There is evidence that Templar-like symbols and structures, such as crosses, pentagrams, and other geometric motifs, have been found in various locations across the Americas. These findings have led some researchers to speculate that the Templars, or groups associated with them, may have left behind markers or hidden treasures in these regions. One of the most famous sites linked to Templar lore is Oak Island in Nova Scotia, where a mysterious pit known as the Money Pit has been the subject of treasure hunts for centuries. Theories abound that the Templars, fleeing persecution in Europe, may have hidden their treasure, possibly including religious relics or gold, on Oak Island. Some proponents of the theory suggest that the treasure could be the key to unlocking the secrets of the lost city of gold, with Oak Island serving as a waypoint on a larger, hidden Templar map. Similarly, there are stories of Templar-like markers being found in the southwestern United States, including the deserts of Arizona and New Mexico. Ancient symbols, carvings, and even alleged Templar crosses have been discovered in these areas, fueling speculation that the Templars may have traveled to the American Southwest in search of the lost city of gold. These markers, if they are indeed connected to the Templars, could indicate locations where treasure or sacred knowledge was hidden, possibly linked to their belief in ancient prophecies or their ongoing search for spiritual enlightenment. It is important to note that while the idea of the Templars seeking a lost city of gold is captivating, there is no direct evidence to confirm this theory. Many of the connections between Templar activities and treasure hunts in the Americas are based on circumstantial evidence, symbolism, and the interpretation of ancient maps and artifacts. However, the sheer number of mysterious discoveries, ranging from hidden caves to strange stone carvings, suggests that there may be more to the story than we have been told. Could the Templars have embarked on a quest to the New World in search of riches, knowledge, or relics that would change the course of history? And if they did they succeed in finding a lost city of gold, or did they leave clues behind that future explorers are still attempting to unravel? The Templars' quest for treasure, knowledge, and sacred relics has long been the stuff of legend, and their connection to the lost city of gold fits neatly into this narrative. Whether they were searching for wealth, divine enlightenment, or something more profound, the idea that the Templars played a role in the discovery of a hidden treasure in the Americas raises fascinating questions. As we continue to explore the mystery surrounding the Templars and their potential presence in the New World, it becomes increasingly clear that the search for the lost city of gold is far from over, and that the Templars, with their deep connections to ancient knowledge and their enigmatic legacy, may hold the key to unlocking this age-old mystery. Throughout history, indigenous cultures across the Americas have passed down stories of strange visitors from distant lands, tales that, when examined through the lens of history and mystery, seem to echo the presence of outsiders long before Columbus arrived. These legends, often passed down through oral traditions, speak of people who came from the sea, bringing knowledge, advanced tools, and strange symbols with them. Some of these stories describe white-skinned visitors, often with features unlike those of the indigenous tribes, leading to speculation that these visitors were not merely European explorers, but perhaps something more enigmatic, such as the Knights Templar. The Templars, with their extensive network, vast resources, and secretive nature, have been linked to numerous myths and theories regarding their travels across the globe. If we look closely at the indigenous stories from North, Central, and South America, some appear to bear remarkable similarities to the narratives surrounding the Templars. These connections, while speculative, offer intriguing possibilities about the Templars' role in the Americas long before the so-called Age of Discovery. Could the indigenous legends of visitors with advanced knowledge, unfamiliar symbols, and divine wisdom be pointing to the Templars, or perhaps another group of early European explorers with similar motivations? One of the most compelling indigenous stories comes from the Hopi people of the American Southwest. Their oral traditions speak of ant people, or beings from the sky, who taught them the ways of civilization, including agriculture, astronomy, and healing. These visitors, described as fair-skinned and possessing advanced knowledge, are said to have arrived in the distant past, possibly from the east. The Hopi myths describe these beings as having brought sacred knowledge that transformed the tribe, and their arrival is marked by the same kind of symbolism that is often associated with the Templars. The Hopi, like many other indigenous groups, have maintained a deep connection to the stars and celestial bodies, and their ancient understanding of the cosmos mirrors the Templars' own knowledge of astronomy, geometry, and sacred architecture. The idea that the Templars, or a similar group, might have had contact with indigenous peoples of the Americas is also echoed in the legends of the Mayan civilization. The Mayans, who developed an advanced understanding of mathematics, astronomy, and architecture, have long been the subject of speculation about the origins of their knowledge. Some researchers believe that the Mayans could have received influence from an external source, possibly from ancient travelers who brought advanced knowledge across the seas. In some versions of the Mayan creation myth, gods who came from the east and who are described as white-skinned are credited with teaching the Mayans important skills. These stories parallel the descriptions of Templar-like figures who are believed to have traveled to the Americas, potentially influencing the development of local civilizations with their knowledge of the stars, geometry, and sacred wisdom. Further south, the Inca civilization also has its own version of such legends. The Incas, who built one of the most sophisticated empires in the Americas, often spoke of Viracocha, a godlike figure who emerged from the sea and brought knowledge to their ancestors. Viracocha is typically depicted as a tall, fair-skinned man, sometimes described as having a beard, an uncommon feature among the native peoples of the region. The Incan myths about Viracocha are strikingly similar to the accounts of other indigenous cultures, where strange visitors from the sea, sometimes described as godlike beings, bestowed advanced knowledge. Could these tales point to early European explorers, such as the Templars, who might have ventured into the Andes centuries before the Spanish conquest? The correlation between these indigenous stories and the Templars becomes even more intriguing when we consider the similarities in their symbols and rituals. The Templars, known for their use of cryptic symbols and secretive rites, may have shared their knowledge and symbols with indigenous cultures, or perhaps the Templars themselves were influenced by pre-existing spiritual practices in the Americas. There are numerous reports of Templar-like symbols being found in the Americas, such as crosses, pentagrams, and other geometric patterns that mirror the imagery used by the Templars in their temples and regalia. These symbols are often found in ancient ruins, rock carvings, and ceremonial sites across North and South America, leading some researchers to hypothesize that the Templars, possibly in their pursuit of sacred knowledge, shared or exchanged mystical symbols with the indigenous peoples they encountered. For instance, in the American Southwest, there are ancient petroglyphs and rock carvings that resemble Templar crosses and other sacred geometry. Some of these markings have been found near ancient Anasazi ruins, suggesting that there may have been contact between the Templars and the native peoples of this region. The Templars' influence on indigenous cultures is a contentious subject, and many argue that such connections are purely coincidental or the result of later European interactions. However, the presence of these symbols in places that predate Columbus raises fascinating questions about the extent of Templar exploration in the Americas. In addition to the physical evidence of Templar-like symbols, there are also suggestions that certain indigenous tribes had access to advanced knowledge of astronomy and mathematics that could have been influenced by ancient European explorers. The Mayans, for example, developed a highly sophisticated calendar system and had a detailed understanding of the movement of the stars, the moon, and the planets. Some researchers believe that the Mayans could have received astronomical knowledge from travelers who came across the ocean. The Templars, with their deep understanding of sacred geometry and celestial navigation, would have been capable of passing down this knowledge to the indigenous peoples they encountered, further cementing the idea that early European explorers had a significant impact on the development of indigenous cultures in the Americas. The connection between indigenous legends and Templar activity also raises the question of whether the Templars were actively searching for ancient knowledge or spiritual enlightenment during their travels. The Templars were not merely a military order. They were also deeply involved in the study of ancient texts, mysticism, and alchemy. Many Templar Knights were believed to have been initiated into secret knowledge and esoteric practices, which were closely tied to their exploration of sacred sites across Europe and the Holy Land. Could the Templars have been searching for similar wisdom in the Americas? The idea that they were not just seeking treasure, but spiritual knowledge aligns with the legends of ancient visitors who bestowed wisdom upon indigenous cultures. Furthermore, it is possible that the Templars were not the only group involved in the spread of such knowledge. In the centuries leading up to the Age of Discovery, there were numerous secret societies and mystical orders, some with ties to the Templars, that were believed to have been involved in the search for hidden wisdom. The idea that these groups may have had a broader network of influence extending across the Atlantic and into the Americas fits within the broader context of esoteric knowledge transmission. The possibility that the Templars were part of a larger, global movement of spiritual seekers who ventured to the Americas in search of ancient wisdom only adds to the allure of these legends. The stories of indigenous peoples, filled with accounts of strange visitors from the sea, divine knowledge, and advanced technologies, raise intriguing questions about the role of the Templars in the pre-Columbian Americas. While there is no direct evidence to support the idea that the Templars were in the Americas before Columbus, the legends themselves point to a much more complex and nuanced history of early exploration than is typically taught. The connection between the Templars and indigenous cultures is a tantalizing mystery, one that may hold the key to understanding not only the origins of these ancient tales, but also the true extent of Templar activity in the New World. As we continue to explore the rich and complex histories of indigenous cultures and their interactions with external forces, we are forced to consider the possibility that the Templars, along with other early European explorers, may have played a significant role in shaping the cultures and civilizations of the Americas. The connection between indigenous legends and the Templars remains one of the most enigmatic aspects of early American history, and it is a mystery that continues to inspire both scholarly inquiry and speculative theories. The architecture of the Americas, particularly in ancient civilizations, is often considered a testament to the ingenuity and spiritual practices of the native peoples. From the towering stone pyramids of the Maya and Aztec to the massive cliff dwellings of the Anasazi and the monumental structures of the Incas, these civilizations displayed an advanced understanding of geometry, astronomy, and construction techniques. But what if some of these architectural marvels were influenced not just by indigenous cultures, but also by foreign visitors, possibly even the Knights Templar, who brought their own knowledge of sacred geometry, advanced construction methods, and spiritual symbolism to the Americas long before Columbus? This possibility introduces a fascinating and controversial layer to the debate over pre-Columbian contact between Europe and the New World. The Templars, known for their expertise in architecture, sacred geometry, and masonry, left behind an extensive legacy of buildings and structures across Europe and the Holy Land. Their knowledge of architecture was heavily influenced by their studies of ancient buildings, many of which incorporated elements of sacred geometry, mathematical principles that underpinned much of their religious and spiritual philosophy. The Templars were adept at creating structures that not only served practical purposes, but also embodied mystical and spiritual significance. The idea that the Templars might have transferred this knowledge to the Americas, either through direct contact with indigenous peoples or through hidden teachings, raises intriguing questions about the architectural similarities between ancient European and American structures. One of the most striking pieces of evidence supporting the theory of Templar influence on American architecture comes from the study of geometric patterns and symbols found in ancient structures throughout the Americas. Sacred geometry, the use of specific geometric shapes and proportions that hold symbolic or mystical meaning, was a core element of Templar architecture. The most recognizable symbol of sacred geometry is the golden ratio, a mathematical proportion that appears in various forms in nature, art, and architecture. This ratio, often referred to as the divine proportion, was used by the Templars in the design of their churches, temples, and fortresses. It is not just a mathematical concept, but also a representation of the divine order, connecting the material world with the spiritual. Could the Templars have shared this knowledge of sacred geometry with indigenous cultures in the Americas? The similarities between some of the geometric principles used in ancient American architecture and those found in Templar buildings suggest that they might have. For instance, the design of the Mayan pyramids at Chichen Itza and the Inca structures at Machu Picchu exhibit a deep understanding of geometric principles, such as symmetry, alignment with celestial bodies, and the use of specific proportions. These structures were not merely practical or aesthetic. They were built with the intention of reflecting cosmic order and spiritual significance. Some researchers suggest that the advanced architectural knowledge displayed in these American civilizations may have been influenced by foreign visitors, including the Templars, who could have shared their own knowledge of sacred geometry. In addition to the geometric designs found in ancient American architecture, there are several examples of buildings and structures that bear a resemblance to Templar-style architecture. One of the most famous examples is the Newport Tower in Rhode Island, which has long been associated with the Templars. The tower, which is octagonal in shape and made of stone, bears a striking resemblance to the Templar round churches found in Europe, such as the Church of the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem and the Temple Church in London. The similarities between the Newport Tower and Templar structures have led some researchers to suggest that the tower could have been built by Templars or by those who were influenced by Templar architecture. Its location, overlooking the Atlantic Ocean, further fuels the theory that the Templars may have established a presence in North America, using the tower as a navigational aid, a place of worship, or a symbol of their spiritual beliefs. Another example of possible Templar influence on American architecture comes from mysterious stone structures found in the American Southwest. Throughout the deserts of Arizona, New Mexico, and Utah, there are numerous rock formations and ruins that display an unusual understanding of geometry and alignment with celestial bodies. Some of these structures, such as the ancient cliff dwellings of the Anasazi, incorporate advanced building techniques that suggest a deep knowledge of astronomy and sacred geometry. The alignment of these structures with the solstices, equinoxes, and other celestial events mirrors the kind of astronomical precision found in Templar architecture, which often incorporated similar alignments to reflect the cosmic order. One of the most fascinating aspects of this theory is the possibility that the Templars might have used their knowledge of sacred geometry and architecture to help indigenous cultures construct temples, observatories, and other sacred sites. There are numerous reports of unusual stone circles, temples, and sacred sites that have been discovered across the Americas, some of which feature patterns and designs that are remarkably similar to Templar symbols. For example, in North America, the Great Serpent Mound in Ohio, a massive earthwork that resembles a coiled serpent, has been the subject of much speculation. Some theorists suggest that the mound, which is aligned with certain celestial events, could have been built with the help of outsiders who possessed advanced knowledge of geometry and astronomy. The design of the mound, along with its symbolic meaning, mirrors many of the themes found in Templar mysticism, which often incorporated celestial symbolism and sacred geometry into their designs. In addition to the geometric patterns, there are also numerous examples of Templar-like symbols that have been found in the Americas. These symbols, which include crosses, pentagrams, and other sacred shapes, are often discovered in places that are difficult to access or in locations that seem to have been chosen for their spiritual or astronomical significance. For instance, the carved symbols found in the southwestern United States, particularly in areas around Arizona and New Mexico, are similar to those found in Templar iconography. Some of these symbols, such as the Templar cross, are found near ancient ruins or rock formations that are aligned with the solstices or other celestial events, suggesting that they were part of a larger, coordinated effort to mark sacred sites and map the cosmos. Another significant aspect of the Templar influence on American architecture is their involvement in the construction of castles and fortresses. The Templars were known for their ability to construct massive stone fortifications, which were not only military strongholds, but also symbolic representations of spiritual power and divine order. These fortresses were often designed to reflect the Templars' beliefs in the sanctity of geometry and celestial alignment. Could the Templars have constructed similar fortifications in the Americas, either as outposts or as places of worship and spiritual practice? The presence of ancient stone structures in the Americas, some of which resemble Templar fortifications, adds weight to the theory that the Templars played a role in the development of these architectural traditions. The connection between Templar architecture and sacred sites in the Americas challenges our understanding of early exploration and the cultural exchange between Europe and the indigenous peoples of the New World. While it is difficult to provide concrete evidence of Templar involvement in the construction of American structures, the similarities between Templar architecture and certain American monuments are too striking to ignore. The possibility that the Templars, with their knowledge of sacred geometry, astronomy, and architecture, may have influenced the design and construction of ancient American structures opens up new avenues of research and speculation. As we continue to explore the connections between Templar architecture and sacred sites in the Americas, we are forced to reconsider the established narrative of pre-Columbian history. Could the Templars, driven by their quest for spiritual enlightenment and their pursuit of sacred knowledge, have played a key role in shaping the architectural traditions of the Americas. While the evidence is circumstantial and open to interpretation, the similarities between Templar and indigenous architectural practices suggest that the Templars may have had a profound influence on the spiritual and architectural development of ancient American civilizations. Whether they were the builders of these sacred sites or simply influenced the designs, the Templars' legacy in the Americas remains an intriguing and mysterious chapter in the history of exploration and architecture. For centuries, the mysterious and powerful legacy of the Knights Templar has fueled countless myths, legends, and stories, many of which suggest that their influence extended far beyond the Holy Land in Europe. One of the most enduring aspects of Templar mythology is the belief that the order secretly hid vast amounts of treasure, gold, relics, and sacred artifacts, before its dramatic disbandment in 1312. While these treasures were long considered lost, various theories suggest that they may have been smuggled away to distant places, with some believing that the Templars may have even hidden their riches in the New World, possibly even in the Americas. This idea has given rise to an entire genre of folklore surrounding Templar treasure, secret caches, and hidden relics, with many myths claiming that the treasures have remained concealed for centuries, waiting to be discovered. The concept of Templar treasure is deeply intertwined with the Order's mysterious and enigmatic legacy. After the arrest and dissolution of the Templars by King Philip IV of France, rumors swirled about the fate of the Order's vast wealth and sacred relics. Some accounts suggest that the Templars had hidden their riches in secret locations, either to protect them from the Church or to safeguard the treasures from the political intrigue of the time. The most famous of these rumors involves the Holy Grail, which, according to some theories, the Templars had secretly guarded during their time in the Holy Land. This belief gave rise to a number of speculative tales, many of which suggested that the Grail and other sacred artifacts were hidden in remote locations, including the Americas. The idea that the Templars hid their treasures in the New World is a compelling one, and it has been the subject of many myths, especially in regions such as New England, Nova Scotia, and the American Southwest. One of the most famous locations associated with the hidden treasure of the Templars is Oak Island, a small island off the coast of Nova Scotia, Canada. Oak Island is home to the infamous Money Pit, a mysterious shaft that has baffled treasure hunters for centuries. The pit, which was first discovered in the late 18th century, has yielded no definitive treasure but is filled with cryptic symbols, wooden platforms, and strange carvings that suggest the presence of something valuable hidden deep beneath the earth. Over the years, numerous theories have emerged connecting the Oak Island Money Pit to the Templars. Some believe that the pit was used by the Templars to conceal their treasure after their persecution in Europe. The theory posits that the Templars, seeking refuge from the wrath of the Church, sailed across the Atlantic to the New World and used Oak Island as a secure location to bury their wealth. The evidence supporting this theory is largely circumstantial, but nonetheless compelling. For instance, some researchers point to the symbols found on the island: crosses with 4 arms, and other Templar-like imagery, as potential clues that the site was connected to the Knights Templar. Additionally, there are stories of Templar knights being seen in the area long before European settlers arrived, further fueling the notion that the island may have played a significant role in the Templars' secret activities. The Oak Island theory is just one example of the many treasure legends tied to the Templars. In New England, for instance, there are numerous accounts of hidden treasure linked to Templar activity. These stories often revolve around the idea that Templar knights, who had been traveling across the seas long before Columbus, left behind treasure maps or clues leading to hidden riches buried in the American wilderness. One of the most famous examples of this is the tale of the Captain Kidd treasure, which, according to some versions of the story, was connected to the Templars. Captain William Kidd, an infamous pirate from the 17th century, was rumored to have been in possession of a treasure map that pointed to a cache of Templar gold hidden in the Americas. Other folklore associated with Templar treasure in the Americas includes stories of hidden caches in the mountains of the American Southwest. These legends, which are particularly popular in Arizona and New Mexico, suggest that Templar knights traveled through the region, either on their way to the New World or as part of a larger quest for sacred knowledge. According to some of these stories, the Templars hid their treasure in caves or buried it beneath ancient ruins, and clues to its location can be found in rock carvings, inscriptions, and other artifacts left behind by the knights. These hidden treasures are often said to include not just gold and riches, but also sacred relics, such as pieces of the Holy Grail or other artifacts of profound religious and spiritual significance. The connection between the Templars and treasure myths in the Americas is further complicated by the rise of secret societies and fraternal organizations in the centuries following the disbandment of the order. Many of these societies, such as the Freemasons, have been linked to the Templars, and some researchers suggest that these organizations may have inherited the Templars' obsession with sacred knowledge and hidden treasures. According to some theories, these groups have carried on the Templar tradition of guarding and seeking out hidden riches, including in the Americas. Some of the most well-known Masonic symbols, such as the compass and square, bear striking similarities to Templar iconography, and some researchers suggest that the Freemasons' obsession with building and architectural knowledge may have its roots in the Templars' expertise in sacred geometry and construction. In addition to the physical treasure myths, the Templars' legacy has also permeated the cultural imagination in the form of cryptic messages, secret codes, and hidden clues that are believed to point the way to their treasures. One of the most famous examples of this is the use of coded messages and symbols in the architecture of certain landmarks. For instance, some researchers have suggested that the design of Washington, D.C. is filled with hidden references to the Templars and their treasure. The layout of the city, including the positioning of certain buildings and streets, is believed by some to encode secret knowledge passed down from the Templars, possibly pointing to the location of hidden treasures or sacred relics. The Templar treasure myths have also been popularized by a number of books, films, and television series, which have turned the quest for hidden Templar riches into a global mystery. One of the most famous examples is Dan Brown's best-selling novel The Da Vinci Code, which blends historical fiction with elements of Templar mythology. The novel, which centers on the quest for the Holy Grail, explores the idea that the Templars were the guardians of secret knowledge and hidden treasures that could change the course of history. While the Da Vinci Code is a work of fiction, it has played a significant role in rekindling interest in the Templars and their potential involvement in hidden treasure myths. Despite the compelling nature of these stories, it is important to approach the idea of Templar treasure with caution. While the folklore surrounding Templar riches in the Americas is fascinating, the evidence supporting these theories is largely speculative and circumstantial. There is no definitive proof that the Templars ever hid treasure in the New World, and many of the legends surrounding Templar treasure are likely exaggerated or invented over time. However, the enduring popularity of these myths suggests that the Templars' legacy continues to captivate the imagination of people around the world. Whether or not the treasure actually exists, the idea that the Templars left behind hidden riches in the Americas continues to inspire treasure hunters, historians, and storytellers alike. In the end, the Templar treasure myths, whether real or imagined, serve as a powerful reminder of the enduring mystery and allure of the Knights Templar. These stories not only reflect the Order's historical legacy, but also speak to the human desire for hidden knowledge, lost riches, and ancient wisdom. The myths of hidden Templar treasures, scattered across the Americas, continue to intrigue and captivate, ensuring that the Templars' influence on folklore and culture remains as mysterious and compelling as ever. Throughout history, one of the most intriguing aspects of the Knights Templars' activities has been their mastery of maps, navigation, and the secrets of distant lands. The Templars were not only military crusaders, but also skilled in cartography and navigation, fields that would have been essential to their success as an international order with vast holdings and interests spanning across Europe, the Holy Land, and beyond. However, the true extent of their knowledge, particularly regarding secret or ancient maps that could have led them to the Americas long before Columbus, remains a tantalizing mystery. Could the Templars have possessed or even created maps that charted routes to the New World? If so, what other hidden secrets did these maps contain, and why were they kept so secret? The idea that the Templars possessed ancient or secret maps that led to the Americas has been the subject of much speculation. Some researchers believe that the Templars, during their time in the Holy Land, came into contact with ancient texts or relics that provided them with knowledge of distant lands across the Atlantic Ocean. One theory suggests that the Templars' deep knowledge of navigation developed during their time in the Mediterranean and their connections with various seafaring civilizations could have enabled them to travel far beyond the known world of the time. This possibility raises the question, did the Templars possess maps that depicted the Americas centuries before the age of exploration? One of the most compelling pieces of evidence for the Templars' connection to ancient maps is the so-called Piri-Reis map, a 16th century world map created by the Ottoman admiral and cartographer Piri-Reis. The map is famous for its detailed depiction of the coastlines of South America and the northernmost parts of Antarctica, regions that were not known to European explorers at the time. What makes the Piri-Reis map particularly intriguing is the fact that it appears to depict land masses that were not officially discovered by Europeans until centuries later. The map includes a portion of the South American continent and a portion of Antarctica, which is shown in a much more accurate geographical form than was previously thought possible for its time. The Piri-Reis map has been the subject of much debate, with some theorists suggesting that the map was based on much older, lost sources, possibly including ancient Greek, Phoenician, or even Templar maps. Some researchers believe that the Templars may have had access to ancient navigational knowledge that allowed them to explore the Americas long before Columbus, and that this knowledge was passed down in the form of maps like the Piri-Reis map. The idea that the Templars could have charted the Americas, or even reached the New World, is not entirely outside the realm of possibility, especially when considering the advanced nautical techniques and astronomical knowledge possessed by the order. The Templars were known for their involvement in the Crusades, which took them to the Holy Land and beyond, where they established complex networks of trade and exploration. During their time in the Levant, the Templars had access to ancient texts and knowledge that had been preserved by civilizations such as the Greeks and Egyptians. These texts, many of which were esoteric in nature, could have contained references to far-off lands, including those across the Atlantic. The Templars, with their vast wealth and influence, may have used their resources to compile and preserve maps that depicted these distant lands, possibly including the Americas. In addition to the Piri-Reis map, other ancient maps have been cited as possible evidence of Templar knowledge of the Americas. One example is the Vinland map, a medieval map that depicts part of the North American continent, including a region labeled Vinland. This map, believed to date back to the 15th century, shows a landmass that appears to be the northeastern coast of North America, which matches the descriptions of Viking explorations of the continent. Some researchers suggest that the map could have been influenced by Templar knowledge of the region, especially given the Templars' connections to seafaring civilizations like the Norse. The Vinland map has long been associated with the Viking sagas, which describe the voyages of Norse explorers to the Americas around the year 1000. However, the connection between the map and the Templars is intriguing. Could the Templars have had access to the knowledge of these early Viking expeditions? The Templars, with their vast network and close ties to seafaring cultures, may have learned of the Viking explorations and could have even made their own expeditions to the Americas based on this knowledge. The idea that the Templars were part of a larger network of ancient explorers who charted the Americas, possibly centuries before Columbus, suggests that the history of pre-Columbian exploration is far more complex than we have been led to believe. Beyond these specific examples, there are numerous accounts and theories that suggest the Templars were in possession of ancient maps that led to the New World. Some researchers claim that Templar knights who fled persecution in Europe may have used secret maps to navigate to the Americas. According to some legends, after the fall of the Templar Order in 1312, Many knights fled to regions such as the American Northeast or even the Caribbean, using these secret maps to guide their journey. In these theories, the Templars are said to have hidden their wealth and sacred knowledge in the Americas, using the maps to return to these hidden locations later. This theory is supported by the existence of various symbols and markings found in locations across the Americas that some believe are linked to the Templars. These markings, which include crosses, pentagrams, and other geometrical symbols, are often found near sites that have been associated with hidden treasures or sacred sites. Some researchers believe that these symbols may be part of a larger Templar code, meant to guide future generations to the hidden wealth of the order, using the maps they had developed or inherited. A fascinating example of this type of hidden navigational knowledge is the story of the Knights Templar and their potential connection to the so-called Beale ciphers, a set of 3 cryptic texts that allegedly contain the location of a hidden treasure in Virginia. While the authenticity of the Beale ciphers is debated, the connection to the Templars is noteworthy. Some researchers suggest that the ciphers are linked to Templar treasure, with one of the ciphers purportedly revealing the location of hidden riches buried in the New World. The idea that the Templars may have created or used such ciphers to protect their treasure further supports the notion that they possessed secret knowledge about locations in the Americas. There are also theories that suggest that the Templars used their knowledge of celestial navigation, combined with their secret maps, to chart a course to the New World. The Templars, with their understanding of astronomy and geometry, could have been adept at using the stars to navigate the vast oceans. Some researchers believe that the Templars used a combination of ancient star maps, mathematical formulas, and secret codes to guide their voyages across the Atlantic. The idea that the Templars could have used celestial navigation to reach the Americas long before Columbus adds another layer of mystery to their potential role in pre-Columbian exploration. Despite the allure of these theories, the evidence for the Templars' involvement in the creation or possession of maps to the Americas remains circumstantial. While there are intriguing historical documents, maps, and symbols that suggest the Templars had access to advanced navigational knowledge, no concrete proof has been uncovered to confirm that they charted a course to the New World. Nonetheless, the idea that the Templars possessed secret maps and navigational knowledge capable of guiding them to the Americas is a compelling one, and it speaks to the broader mystery surrounding the Order's true activities. The question of whether the Templars reached the Americas is one that continues to captivate historians, treasure hunters, and conspiracy theorists alike. The idea that the Templars could have possessed ancient maps that charted a course across the Atlantic, possibly to hidden treasure or sacred knowledge, adds a thrilling dimension to their already enigmatic legacy. While the evidence is far from conclusive, the possibility that the Templars may have known about the Americas long before Columbus opens up new possibilities for understanding both Templar history and the broader story of pre-Columbian exploration. The search for these maps, and for the hidden knowledge they may contain, continues to intrigue and inspire those who are captivated by the mysteries of the past. The enigmatic and often intertwined histories of the Knights Templar and the Freemasons have long been subjects of speculation and intrigue. For centuries, both organizations have been surrounded by an air of secrecy, ritual, and mysticism, and numerous theories suggest that the Templars and Freemasons share a deeper connection than merely parallel symbolism. In fact, many believe that the Freemasons, as an organization, were either directly descended from or significantly influenced by the Templar Order. The ties between the two have been speculated to include the transmission of secret knowledge, ancient rituals, and even the preservation of Templar treasures. Could it be that the Freemasons inherited the hidden knowledge of the Templars, including their beliefs, symbols, and perhaps even their exploration of the Americas? The Freemasons, as they're known today, are a global fraternity that emphasizes personal development, brotherhood, charity, and secrecy. However, beneath this modern surface lies a far more ancient and mysterious history. Many historians believe that the origins of Freemasonry trace back to the medieval period, a time when stonemasons' guilds were the architects of Europe's most sacred and monumental buildings, including many cathedrals and churches. These guilds, which shared an understanding of geometry, architecture, and sacred symbolism, were key to the spread of knowledge during the time of the Templars. One of the central arguments for the Templar-Freemason connection is the striking similarity between the rituals, symbols, and traditions of the two organizations. The Templars were renowned for their secretive nature and use of cryptic symbols, many of which were tied to their mystical and esoteric beliefs. These symbols, including the iconic Templar cross, the pentagram, and various geometric shapes, are also found in the iconography of modern Freemasonry. The Freemasons, for their part, have always maintained a tradition of secrecy surrounding their rites and beliefs, often using these same symbols in their ceremonies and lodges. This overlap of symbols raises the question, were the Freemasons simply inspired by the Templars, or did they inherit their secret knowledge? The most commonly held theory is that the Freemasons directly inherited much of their symbolism and ritual from the Templars, either through the survival of hidden Templar traditions or through the formal incorporation of Templar members into early Masonic lodges. This theory is supported by the fact that some of the earliest Freemason lodges, particularly in Europe, are believed to have been established by individuals who had direct or indirect connections to the Templar order. After the Templars were disbanded in 1312 by Pope Clement V, many of the knights who survived the purge were either absorbed into other military orders or, according to some theories, fled to the relative safety of European cities, where they may have integrated into or founded Masonic lodges. These former Templar knights, believing that their sacred knowledge and mission could continue in a more clandestine form, could have passed on their rituals, secret teachings, and even the knowledge of their travels, including to the Americas. As the Freemason movement developed over the centuries, it absorbed many of these Templar elements, perpetuating the secrets of the old order. In fact, there are several documented instances in which Freemasons have openly acknowledged their connection to the Templars. For example, in the 18th century, Freemasonry experienced a revival of interest in the Templars through the establishment of a Knights Templar degree within Masonic rites. This degree, known as the Order of the Temple, mirrored many of the rituals and symbols associated with the Templars and helped cement the connection between the two organizations. In addition to these formal connections, numerous Freemason symbols and practices can be traced back to the Templars. One of the most iconic symbols associated with both groups is the square and compass. In Freemasonry, the square and compass represent the tools of a stonemason, symbolizing morality, virtue, and the foundation of Masonic teachings. However, some researchers have pointed out that the square and compass were also used by the Templars, who employed these geometric shapes in their architectural designs and rituals. The square, in particular, was symbolic of the Templars' deep understanding of sacred geometry, a principle that permeated their architecture, from their fortresses in the Holy Land to the castles and chapels they built across Europe. The use of this symbol in Freemasonry, therefore, could indicate a direct line of transmission of Templar knowledge. Another key element of both Templar and Masonic traditions is the emphasis on secrecy, initiations, and the pursuit of hidden knowledge. The Templars were infamous for their secretive practices, particularly their initiation ceremonies, which were shrouded in mystery. It is believed that the Templars, upon initiation, were taught ancient mysteries, rituals, and wisdom that were passed down from the ancient world. Some of this knowledge was said to be encoded in their symbols and rituals, while other aspects were kept in hidden documents or sacred texts. When the Templars were disbanded, many of their secrets were thought to have been lost or hidden. However, it is possible that some of these secrets were passed on to other organizations, most notably the Freemasons, who continued the tradition of initiation and secrecy. The connection between the Templars and Freemasons is also reflected in the geographic distribution of Masonic lodges, many of which are located in regions where Templar influence was strong. For example, in the early 14th century, after the disbandment of the Templars, many knights are believed to have sought refuge in Scotland, which was known for its strong Masonic traditions. The influence of the Templars in Scotland, particularly in cities such as Edinburgh, has led some researchers to propose that Freemasonry in Scotland developed in part as a continuation of Templar traditions. In fact, some scholars argue that the famous St. Andrew's Cross symbol of Scotland, which features a cross overlaid with the letter X, may have originated with the Templars, who used similar symbols in their rituals. There are also specific legends that suggest the Templars shared their knowledge of the New World with the Freemasons. These stories center on the idea that the Templars, after their persecution in Europe, took refuge in the Americas, where they either hid their treasures or continued their esoteric practices in secret. These stories often feature Freemasons as the inheritors of the Templars' knowledge, suggesting that Freemasonry played a role in preserving the secrets of the Templars' voyages across the Atlantic. Some believe that certain Freemason symbols, like the compass and the square, are not just tools of the stonemason, but are also markers of secret Templar knowledge. Maps, clues, and codes pointing to hidden treasures or sacred sites in the Americas. The idea that Freemasons may hold the key to uncovering these lost secrets, hidden by the Templars, remains one of the most tantalizing aspects of the Templar-Freemason connection. While the idea of the Templars and Freemasons being directly linked to the exploration of the Americas is speculative, there is no denying the deep and mysterious relationship between the two groups. The preservation and transmission of knowledge, symbols, and rituals from the Templars to the Freemasons is a subject that continues to intrigue scholars and researchers. Some even argue that the Freemasons, as an organization dedicated to the search for hidden knowledge and wisdom, could be the modern inheritors of the Templars' legacy, a legacy that may include not just secret knowledge of sacred geometry, architecture, and esoteric rituals, but also the discovery of the Americas long before Columbus. Whether or not the Freemasons possess the literal secrets of the Templars, it is clear that their traditions, symbols, and rituals have been shaped by the same mystical, architectural, and esoteric knowledge that defined the Templars. The possibility that the Templars passed down their secrets to Freemasonry, including knowledge of the Americas, remains a captivating mystery, suggesting that the Templars' influence on world history may not have ended with their disbandment, but instead lived on, concealed within the rituals and teachings of one of the most powerful secret societies in history. The truth may lie buried in the very codes, symbols, and traditions that the Freemasons continue to uphold today. The idea that the Knights Templar may have played a role in the establishment of early American settlements is a fascinating and controversial theory that continues to capture the imagination of history enthusiasts and conspiracy theorists alike. While mainstream historians typically associate the founding of America with figures like Christopher Columbus, John Smith, and the Pilgrims, there's a growing body of alternative history that suggests that the Templars, or individuals with direct ties to the order, may have reached the New World long before the voyages of the famous explorers of the 15th century. This theory is rooted in the belief that the Templars, after their fall in 1312, escaped persecution by fleeing to the Americas, where they either established secret colonies or contributed to the formation of early settlements, blending their knowledge, resources, and spiritual teachings with the indigenous peoples of the continent. The concept of Templar influence on early American settlements is grounded in several key ideas, including the notion that the Templars had access to advanced navigational knowledge, secret maps, and a deep understanding of sacred geography. The Templars were known for their exceptional military and engineering skills, and their involvement in the Crusades exposed them to a wealth of ancient knowledge, including texts, symbols, and architectural techniques that could have given them the ability to explore distant lands. The theory posits that the Templars, after being disbanded and persecuted by the Catholic Church, sought refuge across the Atlantic, using their secret navigational expertise to chart a course to the Americas, long before the age of exploration began in earnest. The earliest documented theories linking the Templars to early American settlements focus on the idea that some Templar knights fled to what is now North America after the dissolution of their order. One of the most popular locations associated with Templar activity is Oak Island in Nova Scotia, Canada. The island is famous for its Money Pit, a mysterious shaft that treasure hunters have been attempting to excavate for centuries. Theories abound about the money pit's origins, with some suggesting that it was constructed by Templar knights who hid a vast treasure, possibly including sacred relics like the Holy Grail or the Ark of the Covenant, on the island in the early 14th century. Oak Island is not the only location in North America that has been tied to Templar myths. Other regions, such as the American Southwest, have also been the subject of speculation about Templar settlement or treasure hiding. Could the Templars have used these secret locations as a means to establish a foothold in the New World? The theory is supported by the idea that the Templars were expert navigators, well-versed in astronomy, geometry, and map-making. They could have easily constructed precise maps that charted unknown lands across the Atlantic. This knowledge would have been a closely guarded secret, passed down through generations of knights. After their expulsion from Europe, many of these knights might have seen the Americas as a safe haven, away from the reach of the Catholic Church, which had sought to erase their order from history. Given the Templars' extensive network of contacts and influence across Europe and the Holy Land, it is plausible that they were able to establish a connection with indigenous peoples in the Americas, using their advanced knowledge to form alliances or trade routes. One of the most compelling aspects of the Templar America theory is the idea that the Templars might have shared their advanced knowledge of architecture, astronomy, and sacred geometry with the indigenous cultures of North America. Several researchers have pointed out that many ancient American structures, particularly those built by the Mayans, Aztecs, and Incas, exhibit geometric and astronomical precision that mirrors the Templars' own architectural style. Could the Templars have helped the indigenous peoples construct these monumental structures? Some suggest that the Templars, using their vast knowledge of sacred geometry, might have passed on their understanding of celestial alignments and geometrical proportions to the native cultures, influencing the design of key structures like the Mayan pyramids or Incan temples.